We continue with this program that's been wonderfully organized here by the whole team, and I have to give a shout out to the association that both GITEX Global and Expand North Star have behind the scenes, a team that works on this type of programming for months, a brilliant AV team, fantastic team here in the room. I just want to make sure that everybody feels appreciated here on day 4, because of course we're digging deep into these conversations and continuing with our illustrious panelists here. On that note, without further ado, I'm going to introduce the next session. Again, we started this morning with that live demo and a unicorn feature with Jonathan Ross of Grok, the unicorn fireside that we just had now on stage, and more insights into the world of unicorns, uncovering the next 10 years in the startup market. This session's going to be moderated by Steve Greenfield, founder and CEO of Automotive Ventures all the way from the US, with special guests Leo Wang, CFO and founding team member of Pony.ai from China, and Rui Tang, founder and CEO and chairman of Zongmu Tech, also from China as well. So a real great spotlight on some wonderful international expertise that we're able to bring you right here at Expand North Star. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for this. Please do give our panelists a warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? The clock has started. So, Rui, Leo, first of all, it's an honor to be here with both of you. Thanks for making the trip in. It's a long way to come. And we'll have some fun today as well. So a little bit of housekeeping. There'll be 2 mics roaming here. So if anything that either of our panelists say that spark a question, don't be shy, don't hold back. Raise your hand, we'll get you a mic, and we'll take questions throughout. But let's dig in. Leo, maybe with you first.
Sure.
If you want to talk a little bit sort of what Pony.ai does,
okay,
and what your responsibilities are.
So Pony.ai is building we call it virtual driver. So basically with a virtual driver, we're trying to replace a human driver. For example, in the L4 robotaxi service, typically right now, if you are getting a taxi or Uber, the vehicle will be driven by a driver. But when robotaxi comes, there will be no driver. But instead, the virtual driver will be maneuvering the vehicle itself, taking you from your pickup spot to your destination. So that's what we are doing, and that's what we are making money of.
So you consider it level 4 autonomy?
Yes.
And is this for commercial or passenger or both?
So it will be mainly for commercial. So basically, right now we have got the commercial permits from Beijing and the Guangzhou government. So basically in Beijing and Guangzhou, in certain area, when you use a Pony Pilot app, you call a robotaxi. Actually, there will be a robotaxi come to you and then pick up you, and then we charge for the fare and take you to your destination.
Very exciting. Okay, we'll get back to some of that.
Okay.
Rui, same question for you. Give us a little bit of the background of Zongmu, what you're trying to accomplish, and what your role is.
Okay, Zongmu was started by me about almost 11 years from now. So really, Zongmu has been based in China, focusing on pushing, level 4 autonomous driving in massive production in passenger cars. And we believe that, maybe the first application for passenger cars level 4 would be application like autonomous valet parking in a closed, parking zone. So we've been developing products and technologies, especially in, for example, the systems and software, hardware for OEMs, especially focusing low-speed autonomous driving and parking technologies. And over the past 10 years, we have, become, a tier 1 supplier for almost all the Chinese-based OEMs, and we are also, working with some of the global ones in using our, parking and low-speed autonomous driving solutions. And cumulatively, we have shipped over 1 million sets of products in the Chinese OEM market, and we are now also looking actively, pushing into the global market.
Perfect. Good. So both of you have been at this for a while. Leo, you for 7 years.
Yeah.
Rui for 11 years.
Yeah.
So how have things changed over that time span in terms of the dynamics around autonomy, the perspective on autonomy over the last 7 or 11 years?
Yeah, so when we started back in 2016, I think everything was not there in place yet. For example, the regulation itself. Probably at that time, only California has so-called autonomous test program. So you need to apply for a test program, and then you can drive your L4 vehicles on the public road. But now, I think the regulation is mostly open. In California, I think you've already seen the news that Waymo and Cruise got the commercial permit that they carry out robotaxi, providing to the general public and charge fares when the user use their robotaxis. As I mentioned, in Guangzhou and Beijing, right now, Pony has the permit from the government for commercial robotaxi as well. So all these is little step by step, but I think overall the progress is making really, really fast.
Very good. Leo, same question.
So when I started Zongmu about like 11 years ago, really, I think that I've witnessed the whole process of, investors are, chasing after, these hot areas like ADAS, or the autonomous driving. Really, I think ADAS became really hot only after, the Israel company Mobileye got public in 2014, and then end of 2015 or 2016, all of a sudden that autonomous driving become so hot because I believe that it was first time Tesla rolled out their autopilot thing. So and then investors became so excited about autonomous driving, and then they see, looking back, it's been so many years. And really, the longer we've been in this industry, the more we realize that it ain't easy, right? It ain't easy. There's a lot of things that we have to achieve, and maybe still in front of us is that things need to develop, technology need to develop, the infrastructure need to develop, legislation need to develop to meet the real level 4 or very high level autonomy in our society. And I think that we need to be prepared for all the challenges, but then I think we are also very committed to deal with all the challenges. Yeah.
That's great. So Rui, hang on to the mic there. So in terms of Zongmu's strategy right now, walk us through what the current strategy is for the company.
I think that as we have been in this industry for 11 years, we have been at time to time adjust our strategy according to our most up-to-date understanding about how things will develop. Everybody knows this Gartner curve, right? So initially people are so optimistic, and then it goes through a desperate valley or so to realize, oh, it may take time, and then things may accelerate when certain bottom is reached. For today, I think we are very close to see in massive scale certain applications of level 3, level 4 autonomous driving will be achieved. My understanding is that on passenger car, maybe the first application would be in, as we have always been pushing, level 4 for autonomous valet parking, where you can let's say in a parking zone or shopping mall, you can get off and then let the car to park itself, and you can do your work, your entertainment, and then after that you just in that closed park you summon your car to pick you up. And we believe that would be the first real level 4 application for passenger cars, because unlike the other scenario, whether it's driving on highway or driving on in a city, level 4 we believe for passenger cars may still need quite some time because of the legislation, because of the concern of fatal accidents. OEMs are also very conservative, because once that thing happens, it could be a damage to their branding. Even Tesla, when they declare to the NHTSA, it's declared as level 2, right? But let's say in a closed shopping mall or park, level 4 making a lot of more sense because the speed is low, and so the concern about having a fatal accident would be relatively small, and then that could be covered by insurance or those kind of matters. And then unlike on highway or in urban city driving, the driver in that cases are still behind the wheel, right? So you are not really released from the driving task. So the driver actually can take over when needed. But when you arrive in, let's say, a big parking garage or your office campus, actually the driver want to get released. They want the responsibility to be shifted from the driver to, let's say, the OEM or some third party who can do this valid parking thing. So that means a demand from the application itself requires a shifting from level 2, which is owner the responsibility by the driver, and to level 4, where it could be released to some third party. So we believe that so level 4 would be on passenger car. We believe it would be first on the autonomous valet parking, and we've been one of the key strategies that we've been constantly driving innovation, both in terms of technology and also related data and service for this application. So that's one of our core strategies. We've been constantly innovating technology. We have so far in the past year, we call it drop and go. We want to create a experience, we call it drop and go, is that the user actually use your cell phone to really drop off and command the car to park itself, and summon the car to pick you up when he need the car to pick him up. So today we are on a third generation drop and go technologies, and we want to continue to polish the product and also the data service to meet the prepare ourselves for real level 4.
Very cool, very exciting. So Leo, before I ask you the current strategy, any reaction to what Rui just said? Do you believe that use case around parking will be the first one for level 4 for passenger vehicles?
I think there is quite a lot of user demands at this point, especially in the China market. Many people have been educated by OEM or by the media. They're really, really open and looking forward to see something new, and they're willing to try something new, especially in the autonomous driving field. So that creates demand, and also many OEMs and tier ones are trying to explore these opportunities and see if there is any commercial opportunities. I definitely see there's many, many possibilities. Different OEMs and tier ones are trying, but I cannot predict what exactly can be the largest beneficial or commercial benefits yet. But I definitely see the industry is moving forward due to these demands.
Okay, great. Good answer, good answer. So I'll ask you the same question then. Give us a little bit of the current strategy right now. When you think of the strategy for the company, what's the strategy right now for the company for Pony.ai?
Yeah, so I mentioned that right now we have been granted for the robotaxi commercial service in Beijing and Guangzhou. And I think that's the most critical part for us is to scale up. So for any business model, when you try to scale up, it's always the questions or challenges from the supply side and also from the demand side. So for the supply side, the question is, how can we provide more virtual drivers on a much larger scale? So we work with OEM because Pony doesn't build vehicle itself, but together with the OEM, we can build L4 capable vehicles. So in August, we announced with Toyota that we're gonna have a joint venture together to produce Toyota and Pony co-designed L4 vehicles from GAC Toyota Motor Company's assembly line. And these vehicles will be put into thousands volumes and SOP'd in the 25-26 timeline. So when these vehicles are produced, we actually are gonna work with some fleet asset company. They are specialized on holding these fleets. So I think that solves the supply side question or supply side challenge. On the demand question, I think it's basic, how can we fully utilize our virtual driver resources? So on that side, we are actually working with quite a lot of ride-hailing companies. For example, we have a stake in the OnTime, which is China's #4 ride-hailing company. And also we have strategic partnership with T3 and Cao Cao. All these are very big names in the China ride-hailing company platform. So they would introduce the user requests, user demands to our virtual driver. We run this robotaxi service as the operator, and we use the virtual driver to take passengers from their pickup spots to their destination. So that's also the capacity and the service that we are charging for fares. That's our business model. And I think that's the biggest challenge and our focus will be.
That's great. Any questions from the audience? Just raise your hand. We'll get a mic over to you. So what's frustrating you in terms of the ecosystem, or asked a different way, what's holding us back from moving quicker towards an autonomous future?
Okay, let me first pick it up. I think that the technology itself is really first of all, it's a very challenging. First, it's a very challenging technical problem, because we have so many so-called long tail problems, and the time to iron out this long tail, it's just take time and may take much longer time than people expected. But said that, I think we are very close to a point where it may be already better than a human driver, right? As some of the latest progress have shown, have proved. But I think that even the question is that for the OEMs to drive it to level 4, there's a resistance from the OEMs, kind of protection for themselves, because once the people are more tolerant than human making mistakes, but much less tolerant than let's say, autonomous driving vehicle making mistakes and accidentally, let's say, hit a pedestrian or so. Even though in statistics, the system may already be better than the human driver. So the OEMs will become very conservative in that sense. I think that their initial feedback would be, why would I push to level 4? Okay, can I just keep improve my user experience while still maintain it as level 2? It's like level 2.9999 all the time, but they don't have motivation or incentive to really get across beyond level 2, because this kind of concern. So that's another reason the OEM is concerned. And then, of course, there is legislation. Is that, and on that front, I think that it's very different from continent to continent. I would say China or US might be more, I would say, tolerant from government point of view in terms of losing the restriction. But I kind of feel that for the Europe and maybe Japan, it has been traditionally very, very conservative, very, very conservative. That means that if OEMs need to get across the level 3, line or barrier up to a higher, autonomy, then the legislation institutions will put a very strong, requirement on the OEMs, and that's also another, I think, that reason why we haven't really seen too much level 3 or level 4, kind of thing breakthrough in those areas. So I think it's a very complicated question, but I think that even though it's legally it may not be level 3 or level 4, we definitely are seeing the user experience are more and more, much more improved. And especially, I think what's happening with Tesla and what's happening with some of the, EV players in China, the experience is already become a very good, standard.
That's great, great perspective. So Leo, same question to you. In terms of the ecosystem needs,
Yeah.
what do we need to go faster?
I think autonomous driving is difficult in terms of, because it's so many related parties. Ecosystem definitely part of, all these related parties. First of all, convincing an OEM to work on a L4 capable vehicle platform. It's already a big challenge and it takes years to accomplish. Second is you have to involve so many hardware parties. People would ask what kind of chips, is it really powerful, is it auto grade? And then the same question will apply to sensors, for example, LiDAR. People would ask a LiDAR question for many years. I clearly remember when we first get started, a Valentine LiDAR would cost you $85K per unit. And nowadays, actually, when you get a semi-solid state LiDAR, it's less than maybe $500 per piece. So that's a huge improvement. And I think we are working on it. But still, the ecosystem, it will involve so many parties. You have to work with them to get a win-win situation, then move all the things forward.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, see how comfortable you are with this, ask you to go on the record here. When will we see mainstream level 4 on roads? And you can qualify it by different countries if you'd like, but when are we going to see half of the cars produced, new vehicles produced, being level 4 in production?
So my take is that, as I said, because of the difference between level 4 and level 5 is level 4 defines a so-called ODD, Operation Design Domain, right? You need to, basically define a scope. So as I said, if we're looking at passenger cars, as both Pony is trying to do, Robotaxi is a passenger car, or as we are supplying parts to OEM, I think for passenger cars, if we're talking passenger cars, today it's very clear there are 3 scenarios. On highway, which you have very structural, and simple, relatively simple environment. In city, where you have many different kind of, traffic participants, motor, pedestrian, bicyclist, all that kind of things, complicated traffic lights. And as I said, there's another scenario is within the park, within the shopping area, or office campus, industry park, airway, airport, railway station. So those 3 scenarios are relatively different, you can see. So my take is that for real level 4, it will first happen in the park. And it may still take 3 to 5 years in large scale. In large scale, I mean, you can buy a car, for example, in Shanghai, in Beijing, in Dubai, and that car allows you to basically, it's an affordable car to everybody. And in your daily life, in most of the parking spaces, either in shopping mall or in your campus or for work or for your residential area, the car can do this kind of level 4 job for you. It may still take 3 to 5 years before such a car for mainstream consumers that can use every day. But for highway and for city, I'm much more conservative. It may take another 10 years.
Okay, good answer. Leo, your thoughts?
So for us, I think one important milestone will be on the 26 to 27. Why? Because as I mentioned, we're going to have our next generation robotaxi fleet being deployed at that time. And what we estimate is based on the BOM cost for that vehicle, actually we're going to make it operational break-even when we deliver at thousands level of robotaxis for commercial usage. So once we approve that is doable, I think that's also a very significant point to prove this is a commercial viable robotaxi business model. Then I think another 3 years, it can be scaled up fairly quickly to about 1 million level.
Okay, good. Great answer. So as much as you can share, we'll start with you, Leo. Help us understand what the key priorities for the company are over the next 5 years.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we are targeting at this next generation robotaxi deployment, and it will targeting to 26 to 27 level. So that pretty much answer your question.
That is soon. 26, 27 will be here very shortly. Rui, same question for you. So product roadmap or just the company roadmap, 5 years from now, what does it look like?
I think that the key is that, especially in this environment, we need a closed loop for your business model, which means that you need to be somehow figure out a way to be self-sustainable in terms of your business operation. And I think that's one of the very tough and key challenge in front of most of autonomous driving companies today, because the investment for R&D is so high, but there hasn't been a real clear, path showing that can you really, make enough money to pay what you're investing in R&D. So that's one of the key tasks or strategy, or I think every autonomous driving company today is facing with. We see that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Questions from the audience? We've got one over here on the right-hand side. Go ahead. Just keep trying. They'll turn you on. I hope. Can we turn that mic on?
Thank you for your insight. I have a quick question. How are you collaborating with business insurance?
Can you speak a little louder?
I'm asking, how are you collaborating with the car insurance business in order to approve your technology to be on the car and for the owner of the car to get insurance?
I think the question is about insuring the car. Does the car get insured if it's autonomous, or does the driver get insured? I think is that the question?
For level 4?
I think for level 4.
I think that this is a gray area, right? So typically, when you buy a car, you get insurance for cover certain things for the function that the car is. But then the current insurance covers really what you behave, as you are a driver. So my understanding is that there will be new insurance to be developed for real level 4 applications, and that is my understanding supposedly to be really covered by the OEMs, and because it makes a lot of sense, because the purpose of level 4 is to shift the responsibility from the driver to the OEM, right? And insurance is just a way to cover the ass, right? When bad thing happens, so it's already happening. When it comes to level 4 means that responsibility already shift from the driver to the OEM, and then the OEM need to cover their ass for things that they are not properly handled very well. So my understanding that it should be part of the OEM.
Leo, what do you think?
So my answer is it's insured by both. First of all, the base vehicle, it comes from the OEM's manufacturing factory. So typically you follow up with the traditional model that OEM has to buy the insurance for it. And then the ADK, that part, because maybe some of them are retrofitted by us, so we're gonna buy the insurance for this hardware. Otherwise, if the OEM install these, the OEMs would have to buy the insurance for these. But later on, if we use these for the robotaxi service, because we are having this virtual driver, so the virtual driver itself needs to, like a human driver, be insured. And it's also the regulation required, because if you are running a L4 vehicles in certain ODD or areas, the regulation would require you to buy insurance for these virtual drivers as well.
Great, good question. Other questions from the audience? Right here?
Hello. What infrastructure enhancements would real estate developers or parking holders would need to invest to allow cars or your cars to drive in those facilities? And if there is an extra infrastructure requirement, what would the incentive be for those people to do this? Because unless you're dedicating the parking exclusively for level 4 cars, then the mall management would need to break spaces for this.
Great. Did you hear it? So let me reiterate. What infrastructure investments need to be made to accommodate a future of autonomy, whether it's on roads or parking? And what will the right incentives be to make sure those infrastructure investments are made?
Let me try to answer first. So I think that in the past that the technology really rely a lot on HD map, no matter it's on highway, city, or in let's say in a garage. The technology more and more moves to a mapless solution. But I want to strengthen a little bit is that first you need you probably still need a good map, good mapping technology for underground garage, which a lot of map vendors doesn't cover today. So one of the very important infrastructure, not necessary to be invested by landlord, but it's very important that you need to have a complete map for where the vehicle is designed to be autonomous driving. That map probably exists today for city and highway, but not very much in many of the big underground garages. That's one of the things you need to consider to invest in, and I think it's also very important for a lot of other LBS applications. Another thing is that people are talking about to provide certain equipment, let's say, to help you to sense or to location yourself, either on the road or in the park. But our understanding is that it's nice to have, but I don't really believe in huge investment for that and make it a necessary dependency for the autonomous driving technologies which is equipped in the vehicle. I'm more a believer on that the AI capability in the car itself would develop and evolve quicker than a fixed asset to be invested on the infrastructure. But said that, there are certain scenarios where definitely certain elements in the infrastructure will help the experience, not necessarily as a must, but will help the experience. For example, if you're in an underground garage, right? It's very crowded and there's many walls, and you need to find a best parking slot for you to park in. And it could be a few walls away, and you don't know that. But if you have a sensor that tells you that, okay, make a right turn in your, at the next wall, and then you will find a good parking slot, and that helps to, improve the efficiency, especially when a parking, slot, parking space is really crowded at peak hours. And this is actually kind of infrastructure that's already happening in China, but I don't see very much, elsewhere around the world. But in China, it's already become so, basically dominant, but not for autonomous driving. It's already for, other purpose, for intelligent, smart garage management. So this kind of thing, it's not necessarily a must element for autonomous driving, but it is really for the efficiency improvement for overall traffic. I think that is a real good worth of investment, rather on to, let's say, in the past there are prototypes that install a very heavy sensing or intelligent systems so that it takes over the computation for autonomous driving from the vehicle to cloud. I don't believe in that approach, but I do believe necessary investment in the infrastructure to make the traffic more efficient.
Leo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would echo Ray's opinion that I would take the presidency over AI over the infrastructure itself. I do see there is a benefit when there is a good infrastructure that can make some long tail case more easier to handle with. But still, we regard all these infrastructure or smart city initiatives to be like a redundant support for our system. But we still heavily relying on our vehicle intelligence to make the final decision. We think this is the right approach.
That's great. Well, we've only got just over a minute left, so I'm gonna give you a curveball. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out here, some of whom are probably in the hall today. Each of you have built amazing businesses, multi-billion-dollar businesses. If I could teleport each of you back in time, and you could spend half an hour with your teenage self, what advice would you give yourself as a teenager?
Advice? Well, never thought about this question. Also, depending on what kind of teen it is, low teen or high teen, right?
Well, maybe, right, exactly. You got into some trouble, probably.
Yeah, I think that, well, for a teenager, I think that, myself, I guess it's just be bolder, see more stuffs, read more. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, great. Leo?
Yeah, I think this is like a startup more oriented venue. So I would suggest, because Pony AI actually is my first time working on a startup. So I would definitely say the only thing that's not gonna change is change. So definitely don't set any boundary for yourself. It's going to be an exciting journey anyway.
Okay, good. Well, I haven't got the note yet, so I can give you another curveball. So this will be our last question. If you could own any car in the world, I don't know if you guys are car guys or not, but any car in the world, historical or current, which car would you want to own? Either one of you can go.
Maybe you first.
Go ahead, Leo.
I like the VW bus.
Oh, the new one or the old one?
The older
From
one.
the 60s.
Yeah.
Good choice, good choice. Rui? Any car?
Any car. There are many very good cars today, especially in Chinese market. I think I'd love to see a car in the future, which I think that we see. Actually, everybody has seen many different kind of concept cars. The cars with or without steering wheel. The cars that allow you to do a lot of things like turn the chair back, all kind of fancy things, or the fancy UI using all the glasses around you to interact, to retrieve information. So when you ask this question, all that kind of thing, come up in my mind. I guess I can't say a concrete example today, but I'm very looking forward for somebody, I don't know, maybe Apple, maybe somebody else, to build a real different car that allows you much more than today the basic job the car is delivering, which is basically transportation tool, but a more interactive, a more hub for your future work and life. And I don't think that car is
doesn't exist yet.
Existing today.
All right, we'll wait for it. Well, Leo, Rui, thank you very much for your time. It's an honor to be up here with you. Can we have a round of applause for these two guys?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
we'll move on to our next segment. Thanks, everyone.